Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Market Talk. Today we're joined by Mike Jackson, who is Director of Supply Chain Management and Head of Charity at Roadchef. And we're also joined by Emma Brooks, who's General Manager at Quintex Systems. Thank you both for joining us today. Good to see you. Mike, we'll kick off with you and your role. You obviously look after all of the supply chain aspect of Roadchef, which I understand is about 30 locations, and within those locations you've got about 90,000 square feet of catering space. So it would be great to really learn a little bit about your role and how that fits with the food service side of things.
That's fine, no problem with that. Well, I've been in the business for over 11 years now. Where does the time go? That's taken no time at all to pass me by. My sort of background is food service, catering, procurement, distribution, and I've been in that sort of environment, or those sort of environments, since around about 1987. So worked for various companies, and then landed in Roadchef, like I said, August 2009. And as time's evolved and moved on, I've just picked up more and more responsibility. It started initially with everything catering, as far as distribution goes and supply chain into the business. Then started looking at other aspects, including retail, our WH Smith environments, a little bit of Costa, and the foodstuffs that we buy for Costa. And then slowly but surely picked up other categories, including all things recycling, waste management, electricity, the procurement of electricity, and just it's literally evolved from there. I have a small team. There are only 4 of us altogether. The 3 guys work into myself, each of them having their own, obviously, areas of responsibility. And then just over 12 months ago, the CEO, Mark Fox, because of my involvement in all things charity over the last few years, organising events, etc., he then asked me to be the sort of focal point for everything we do on the charity side of the business. So I do a lot of fundraising myself. I did a challenge in the Lake District last week, 17 miles over 10 peaks to raise a bit of money, which was interesting. And yeah, I arranged the company golf day when, of course, we could have a golf day and those sort of events. And yeah, over the first just over 2 years of working with cancer research, we raised £2.5 million.
Oh wow, excellent! Mm-hmm. Fantastic. And so, how much of your week is spent at the locations themselves?
Well, old normal or new normal. Old normal, it was a lot of the time. We did have the opportunity to work from home, I can't lie. But you know, without stating the obvious, we have got sites all over the country, literally from north to south, east to west, and I think it was the right thing to do to make sure that we were spending time with the operational teams. Over 3,000 employees at the time, understanding what the sort of issues were at the site level. So a lot of time was spent at sites. We only have a small head office function without a lot of meeting space. So the alternative to meeting at front of house with suppliers and distributors was to go to their premises as well. So visited a lot of suppliers and distributors. But new normal has changed. We're working from home a lot. I'm going out to sites probably on average once a week, twice a week maybe. I'm going to head office tomorrow, for instance, for a couple of meetings. So yeah, very, very, very different to what it was pre-February, March.
Yeah, so Emma, just coming to you then, how has the new normal life been for Quintex as a business? How has it been since the hospitality industry reopened?
I mean, we've been quite busy actually. In fact, busier than I thought we would be. Certainly through July and August, I think everyone had quite a lot of confidence in the hospitality industry. You know, the Eat Out to Help Out scheme helped businesses massively, and the VAT reduction and all of that sort of thing. But it seems to have gone a bit quiet in these last few weeks. Understandably, I think 10 p.m. curfew has really made everyone quite nervous, and I think there's, I won't get political, but there's a lot of confusion around the guidance, the government's advice, and what, it's basically what the hell's going on, I think, sometimes. So I think that's put a bit of, lots of clients are feeling nervous about, the future. But I think still, we have to look to the future. And past COVID, because there will be a past COVID. When exactly that is, I'm not quite sure, but hopefully not too long.
Fingers crossed. So, I mean, obviously Quintex is involved in energy management systems. So, do you think that that's taken on a higher importance now, or do you think the importance level pre and post COVID is the same?
It's quite timely, actually. I don't know whether you've seen the David Attenborough movie that was just released this month, which has is going to put a huge focus on climate change. Obviously, it's been something that's been talked about now for a long time, the net zero carbon and energy management has certainly come to the forefront of people's minds. More recently, I mean, I've been working for Quintex for 15 years, and in the very early days, it was all about bums on seats, and now it's more, people are becoming more aware of energy management as an issue, and I think, I think people have to, if you watch David Attenborough's movie, and I was very touched by that movie myself, and I think everybody can make some small changes in their personal lives, in the things we do. But I think the bigger picture is about the big corporates and the government making some big decisions on climate change. And and energy efficiency, there's a lot of renewable energy opportunities. Just as an example, in the film, he talked about Costa Rica. And they have 98% of their energy is now renewable, and they've managed to get back their forests because they had some devastating deforestation over years. They've got their forests back to 53%. And this is the much bigger picture, and it's much bigger than Quintex. We supply an energy control system for commercial kitchens. But if everyone plays their part, then I think there's a great opportunity out there.
Yeah, I think it's funny, during the COVID period, or during the lockdown period, there was obviously concern within the industry that some of the progress that has been made on the sustainability and energy efficiency side would maybe get lost, but it seems like that is returning to the fore again now, which is good. And Mike, to bring you back into it, obviously sustainability is a key part of what you do from a supply chain perspective. Can you tell us about any initiatives that you've been involved with your kind of food service outlets at the Roadchefs in the past year?
Yeah, well, it goes back further than a year. One of the things I try to do for the business is everything around sustainability, but specifically, to begin with, there was a number of recycling initiatives that I implemented. So, sort of cutting through it very quickly. For many years now, we've baled all of the cardboard that is wasted at sites and moved those bales of cardboard out of the business and sell them on for recycling. In a similar vein, we've got similar initiatives on food and food waste. Include coffee grounds as well. A couple of nice little stories on coffee grounds. One of the first initiatives was having the coffee grounds collected by a business that reworks the coffee grounds into logs that can be used on burners, and then those bags of logs were coming back into the business to sell within our stores. So a sort of closed loop project, really, which was really nice. That couldn't continue because the provider couldn't afford to keep collecting the coffee grounds for us. But the other initiative we've implemented now is we've got a number of composters at sites. So we compost the coffee grounds, and that compost is used around the grounds across the estates. Another lovely little closed loop story. On top of that, we recycle PET as of last year. We've implemented a system, again, a closed loop system. One of our key providers of water is Harrogate Water. We recycle all of the PET that comes into sites by a bin that we developed, or by reverse vend machines, which we have at sites, where the customer wastes the plastic bottle, receives a voucher for wasting that bottle to spend in store. But all of that PET is collected, it goes back to the provider that reworks the PET, the waste PET, into the plastic that goes into Harrogate Water to make fresh bottles of water. So again, another little lovely closed loop system. So many things on waste management and waste initiatives, and we also work closely with DEFRA and Highways England on litter strategy initiatives to make sure that the public passing through our estates are fully aware of everything we're trying to do and not littering the sides of the road as they're leaving the estate or leaving our motorway services. And both DEFRA and Highways England have helped with various projects on new bins across the estate and digital media to promote those initiatives, which have been really positive. And then April last year, we moved our power provider from npower as was to Co-op Power, and all of the energy we now buy from Co-op Power for all of the estate is green energy. And on top of all of that, and many projects that we're pulling together, somebody mentioned net carbon zero earlier. That's a key project for me now, and we're looking at various renewables. We have solar already. We're looking at wind turbines. We're looking at solar carports and other initiatives like that to help drive down the carbon and work further on our net zero.
Wow, okay, so still a lot of scope to improve the situation.
Plenty to do, and yeah, the program, the David Attenborough program. I won't sort of dwell on it because it has been mentioned, but very moving, very touching. I watched it with my family, and you know, the guys were saying they'd love to get more involved to help in some way, shape or form, but it takes many more than just my family to help with the work that David Attenborough is pushing on with, and unfortunately there's not enough of us doing that sort of work at the moment, is there?
Yeah, sure. Mike, just quickly on the in terms of the food service side, obviously you've got your own offerings in terms of fresh food cafe and respite,
yeah.
which, you know, I guess from a catering space and a kitchen point of view, you can kind of control the design and the sustainability of those. You obviously also house, you know, Costa, McDonald's, Leon. Do you have any influence over the kitchen practices and sustainability of those operators?
Well, McDonald's are very much, they manage themselves in effect. We do operate all of our McDonald's, so all of the staff are trained to Roadchef standards, as you would expect. But all of the equipment that's introduced or implemented into a McDonald's unit is their specification. Costa's more straightforward, albeit the coffee machines are to their specification, of course. But as far as the space is concerned and what else we do within that space, it's very much governed by the layout of the sites, because every site we have is obviously very different, some of them very old, but we've done a lot of work over the last few years refurbishing all of those sites, of course.
Right, yeah, excellent stuff. So Emma, just coming back to you, do you see attitudes in the industry changing towards energy management now?
Yeah, I think definitely, and that's not just a post-COVID thing. That's something that's been happening over the last 3 to 5 years. There's, you know, it's much higher on the agenda. I mean, that will be because in some businesses it's the second largest cost to a business, energy, after labour costs. So, you know, they have to take notice if it's one of their second largest costs. Specifically in a premises, a restaurant premises, 63% of the energy is in the kitchen. And that's from refrigeration to the extract controls to all of the cooking equipment. There might be something like 19 different appliances within a kitchen, all pumping out electricity for 16, 18 hours a day in some cases. I think it's definitely something that people are thinking more about. Interestingly, one thing that a lot of our clients are also now looking at is the maintenance of the equipment, and how actually a better maintenance regime will help also with the energy efficiency. Obviously, capital expenditure is an issue right now. I'm sure again that will improve in the next 6 to 12 months. But to look at what you've already got, and that is one of the biggest sort of opportunities that Quintex can offer to our existing client base in the system that we have across various clients' estates. We have access remotely to those systems, and we have data that we can download, exception data. The fans are running 24 hours a day, and that's the thing that we're trying to identify right now to help our clients with the sort of the maintenance and the energy side of things as well.
Yeah, so are there any particular things, services, products that the operators are asking you guys for now? What are they looking to you to provide as a supplier?
I mean, obviously, traditionally, we've always supplied the Quintex system, which is the energy control system. We've also diversified into grease management products, which are, they're mandatory in most cases. And the EcoFix system, the duct cleaning system that we have, the automatic duct cleaning system, people are much more interested in that. We can save costs on access issues in sites and things like that. And then on the energy side, it's really, I think it's about the data. What data have you got? And there's a lot of talk at the moment about the connected kitchen, and having all that data in one place. It needs to be accessible though. It's all very well having lots of data, but who's going to sit there for hours on end looking through that data? You want the data to jump out at you and say, this is what you're doing wrong. And that's again where we're trying to help our clients by identifying that through the data that we have. Because if I send one of my clients a massive spreadsheet, they'd just be like, I'm not even looking at that, I'm far too busy. It would just be too much. So
Death by spreadsheet to be avoided at all costs, right?
Exactly. I mean, I hate spreadsheets myself, so yeah.
Mike, does that chime with you? Do you spend a lot of your time looking at data?
Unfortunately, yes. Everybody does these days, don't they? Everybody does exactly the same. But a lot of the things that Emma was saying there sort of ring true. The huge amount of electricity that is used in our sites, we're 24/7, and the ability to manage all of the energy that's being used, having the ability to be able to point out to people that there's some needless energy being used, those are all key initiatives, and more people need to be involved in looking after that side of things.
Yeah, certainly. And Emma, just to come back to you for a second, I know one of the recent initiatives that Quintex has rolled out has been this Q Finance scheme, which is very timely given the financial challenges that operators are facing at the moment. Do you want to give us some detail of what that scheme involves and the motivation behind it?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that obviously during the lockdown, we were looking at different ways of how we were going to continue doing business. Capital expenditure is going to be a massive issue. It is a massive issue. People are scared to let go of their cash, understandably. We all need to hold on to the cash. So Q Finance really is an opportunity for businesses to still invest in energy saving products, and our grease management products as well, without that capital outlay. And with the Quintex system, the energy saving system, it would allow you to essentially pay less than you're saving on a monthly basis. So it's a no-brainer. I hate that phrase, but it is a no-brainer. Obviously, it's finance. There's interest attributed to finance, so that's something people have to sort of get over. But at the end of the day, if they're saving more than they're spending, why wouldn't you do it?
Indeed. Mike, so are the financing options something that Roadchef or its restaurant partners are looking at the moment?
Well, we're looking at any project over the coming 12 months to help drive a lot of the stuff that we've mentioned already. So yeah, I'm sure everything's open for consideration.
Yeah, so what are those key supply chain management plans then for the next 12 months, would you say?
Well, as ever with the supply chain team, we've got a huge number of tenders during any given 12 months that we manage ongoing. So a lot of the work will be around that. The green energy piece will continue, and the drive down of net zero is probably the top point on my agenda. So we've got meetings in the next couple of weeks where we'll be pulling everybody together to talk about wind turbines, the expansion of the solar estate, and other opportunities to drive down the energy that we use within all of our sites. We've done lots of work in the past on lighting and that sort of good work, but there's so much more we can continue to do, and we will continue to do.
We're just probably coming up for time, so we'll just finish with one question each. Mike, just to start with you first.
Yeah.
Obviously, the business model that you guys are, service station business model. If you look at catering spaces within service stations, it's obviously a very captive audience. Counter service generally, that kind of model hasn't changed too dramatically over the years. Looking ahead to the next sort of 5 years, say, and not really including what's happening at the moment with COVID and social distancing, do you see a fundamental change in the catering model of motorway and service station environments?
Personally, this is obviously a personal opinion, then no, I don't. I think you quite rightly said, it hasn't changed much over recent years. New brands have come onto the motorways and will continue to come onto the motorways. But as far as what the public are looking for when they're passing through a motorway service area, it is good service, a good brand, and the opportunity to just dwell when they're able to, and have them, and that's what we're trying to provide.
Yeah, fair enough. Well summarised. and Emma, let's end with you. Looking ahead to the next 12 months, and particularly with that focus on the energy management side. What one thing would you like to see change in the market, or perhaps what one thing would help operators become more savvy when it comes to running kitchens in an energy efficient way?
I don't know. I mean, I'm going to say it again, and I just would implore everybody to watch the David Attenborough movie, and just make, even if it's a small change within your people who work in kitchens. It's not always someone else's responsibility, and I think that's the message, is we've all got to take some responsibility for the future. And it's an interesting, I think people have talked in the past about there's no planet B, but if you watch that movie, it's not about the planet not surviving, because nature will always find its way back. It's about humans and whether humans will survive. And I think that is the message that everybody needs to take.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Well, yeah. Good piece of homework to go away with, everybody, to watch that movie.
Definitely.
Thank you both for joining us today. Really interesting to get your insights, particularly during this time and this era and the challenges that the market faces. So thanks to both of you, and we'll be back again next week with another edition of Market Talk.